Good morning, students. Today we have to start from page 118. Yesterday, we came to know that B. Wordsworth wanted to sell a poem to the narrator, who is a young boy, right? He said, and the poem was about mother. The poem was on mothers. He wanted to sell it for 4 cents, and he said that it is a bargain price, means I'm offering you at a lower price than its actual value, right? So this is what he told him. The boy went inside to ask his mother whether she is interested in buying the poem or not. The mother was annoyed and asked this person, B. Wordsworth, to leave his yacht. So B. Wordsworth said, the boy went back and what did he say? He told B. Wordsworth that my mother doesn't have 4 cents to buy the poem. So let's proceed further. B. Wordsworth said, it's the poet's treasure. So B. Wordsworth said that it's a poet's tragedy that normal people, they don't understand the value of poetry. They think it to be the one of the most useless, worthless things, right? So that is the greatest tragedy of a poet, that people don't appreciate his work, people don't appreciate his art. Right? His art is not appreciated and respected by the people at large. So he said that this is one of the greatest tragedies of the poet. And he put the paper back in his pocket. He didn't seem to mind. So he was not very much depressed. He just ignored this fact. He kept back the paper in his pocket. He just uttered one sentence, that it is the poet's tragedy that people don't recognize or understand this great art, and then he kept the paper back in his pocket. I said, it's a funny way to go around selling poetry like that. So the narrator, being a very young boy, he found it very funny that a person is going around from one place to another trying to sell his poetry. So he said this to the man, that is B. Wordsworth, that isn't it funny that you are going around from one place to another and selling your poetry? Only Calypsonians do that sort of thing. A lot of people do that. So Calypsonians are the people who sing calypsos, right? Calypsos are the songs with, of from the Caribbean, and these people, calypsos, were sung by Calypsonians. Right? They go from one place to another, and they are a group of musicians, right, who sing calypsos. Calypsos is the type of song which was sung in the Caribbeans, right? And they go from one place to another singing those songs. So he said, the boy remembered of the Calypsonians, and he said that it's like Calypsonians, right? I've seen Calypsonians do it. They go from one place to another singing calypsos. A lot of people does buy, and there are a lot of people who buy their song. He said, no one has yet bought a single copy. Oh, sorry, he asked this from the poet B. Wordsworth, that a lot of people does buy, means you go around selling poetry and a lot of people must be buying your poetry. He wanted to know whether people actually buy his poems or not, because there is a question mark. So he wanted to ask that whether people are interested in buying this poetry, because he found it really funny that B. Wordsworth is going around from one place to another trying to sell his poetry. So this was something new for him, and he wanted to know whether he is ready to sell his poems or not. So the Wordsworth replied, not one has yet bought a single copy. So he replied that till date I have not been able to sell even a single poem of mine. But why you does keep on going around them? So then the boy wanted to know that if not even a single copy, not even a single poem has been sold till date, then what is the use of going around from one place to another? Stop doing it. Simple. If things are not working a particular way, you should stop doing it. So he said, then why do you go around from one place to another selling your poetry? When people are not interested in buying, why are you going on and on? He said, in this way, I watch many things and I always hope to meet poets. So he gave his reason. Wordsworth gave his reason that fine, I'm not able to sell I have not been able to sell even a single poem till date, but by going around from one place to another, at least I get an opportunity to see different things. So this shows that he was a good observer, right? He wanted to observe the new things, different things. And then another thing was he wanted to meet people. So he said that in this way, I am able to meet poets. I said, you really think I is a poet? Now see, he was just, the narrator is just a small boy. And he has been told that he is a poet, which is like a new comment for the boy. Nobody must have told him till date that he is a poet. So it was like a new kind of a remark for him. So he found it exciting. And that is why he's confirming from B. Wordsworth, you really think I is a poet? I is a poet means you really think I am a poet. He wanted B. Wordsworth to reassure the statement which he has made earlier. Right? See, this is very normal for small children. You compliment a small child for something and they will come to you again for confirmation and then reconfirmation. Do you really think that I suppose a small child draws a picture and then you praise the picture? The child will again come back. Do you really think this is nice? If I would have done this, it would have been better. Right? So this is how the children they get very excited. And this was a new compliment which was given to the boy. Perhaps nobody in the past has complimented him in this fashion that he is a poet. Right? So this was something new for the boy, and so he wanted B. Wordsworth to confirm his statement. He said, you really think I is a poet? You are as good as me, he said. So B. Wordsworth said that you are as good a poet as I am. And when B. Wordsworth left, I prayed I would see him again. So, and when B. Wordsworth left the house, the boy wanted to meet him again because he had spent a nice time with B. Wordsworth, done something which he has never done. Spending an hour watching the bees, that is something which child does that. But he was able to do this with B. Wordsworth, and so that is why he wanted B. Wordsworth. He wanted to meet B. Wordsworth again. So the boy prayed that may he be given this opportunity to meet B. Wordsworth again. About a week later, coming back from school one afternoon, I met him at the corner of the McGill Street. So his prayers were fulfilled, and then he got this opportunity to meet B. Wordsworth again after a week when he was returning from school. He saw him standing at the corner of the McGill Street. He said, I've been waiting for you for a long time. I said, you sell any poetry yet? So then he met the boy. He asked him, he told him that he has been waiting for him for a long time. Standing there, he was waiting for him. I said, so but boy wanted to know whether he has been able to sell any poems or not. So he said, you sell any poetry yet? Were you able to sell any of your poems yet? Or it's the same, not even a single copy sold? He shook his head. So he said, no. Right? He said, in my yard, I have the best mango tree in Port of Spain. And now the mangoes are ripe and red and very sweet and juicy. I have waited here for you to tell you this. So this was the reason why B. Wordsworth was standing there waiting for the boy. He wanted to tell the boy that in his garden there is a mango tree and now the mangoes are ripe, juicy. So he wanted the boy to accompany him and eat a few mangoes. I've waited here for you to tell you this and to invite you to come and eat some of my mangoes. He lived in the Alberto Street in a one-roomed hut placed right in the center of the lawn. See, now the description of his house. His house was very different from the rest of the houses in the area. So this also shows his love for nature. Or another interpretation could be detachment from the reality. He was living in his own world. From his being a poet, from that particular fact also, from this particular statement also, we come to know that he is not related to the real world. He has detached himself from the reality. And what will any normal person do if he is not able to sell any of his poems? What will he do? He will stop writing and try doing something else. So he kind of, this person, B. Wordsworth, lived in a kind of illusionary world which he had created for himself. So his house in the Alberto Street is also an example. It can be an example of his love for nature, because there were a lot of trees, and in the center of those trees there was a small house, like hut-like thing. Right? He lived in the Alberto Street in a one-roomed hut. So his house was just one room placed right in the center of the lot. So there were trees. The yard seemed all green, and then the yard had all the greenery. There was a big mango tree, there was a coconut tree, and there was a plum tree. All these things tell us that he was a nature lover. He had love for nature. And then he kind of disconnected himself, detached himself from the rest of the world, because there were big concrete buildings and houses in the area. His house was the only house which was different from the rest of the house, with so many trees, mango tree, coconut tree, plum tree. The place looked wild, as though it wasn't in the city at all. See, this line is important. As if it wasn't in the city at all. This shows his detachment. His detachment and his living in his own world, in his own illusion, which he created for himself. You couldn't see all the big concrete houses in the street. Right? So the rest of the places there was development, but this particular place was seemed like it is not in the city at all. Okay, he was right. The mangoes were sweet and juicy. So whatever he said, he was right. The mangoes were sweet and juicy. I ate about 6. The boy ate about 6 mangoes. And the yellow mango juice ran down my arm to my elbow and down my mouth to the chin, and my shirt was stained. Now you can expect the type of treatment which he will be meted out when he reaches home. What will happen? Can you guess? This line, my shirt was stained.
He get a scolding from his
His
mom.
mother will scold him.
Yes, forget about scolding, he will get a beating. Right?
Thrash scolding.
He will get a thrashing, beating. Not only scolding will not do, because the shirt was stained. First point was this. The second point was that he had been out of the house. He didn't go back home. You remember? B. Wordsworth met him when he was coming back home from school. So that means he didn't reach home. And from there, he accompanied B. Wordsworth to his place without any information and without the knowledge of his mother. Like, the mother was completely oblivious of what is happening. Right? The child missing, not reaching home on time. So what will it ultimately lead to? Fashion. So that is what happened. My mother said when I got home, there you was. You think you is a man now and could go all over the place. Right? So this is a normal statement which is uttered by all the mothers around the world. Right? What do you think? You have grown up. You have become a man, going all over the place without any information, without informing me, without taking permission from me. You are just roaming here and there, wherever you will want. Go cut away from me. So now you are going to be whipped. You know what is a whip? You know what is a whip?
No, ma'am.
You don't know what is a whip. It's a like a thin piece of leather with a handle, right? Which is used for hitting people.
Ma'am, like hunter.
Yes. Right. So cut a whip for me means now you are going to be whipped. Now you will get a beating. She beat me rather badly, and I ran out of the house, swearing that I will never come back. So he got a very bad beating, a terrible one, and so he ran out of the house and he said that I will never come back to your house again. This is what he told his mother because he was annoyed. I went to B. Wordsworth's house. I was so angry, my nose was bleeding, and he was so angry that blood was coming out of his nostrils. B. Wordsworth said, "Stop crying and we'll go for a walk." What did B. Wordsworth tell him? That stop crying, there's no need to cry. Let's go for a walk. I stopped crying, but I was breathing short. See, when you're very angry, no, you're short of breath. You're very hyper, when you're very excited, any kind of excitement, you're short of breath. Okay? So this boy also, because he was so annoyed, so angry, and then blood was coming out of his nose, and so he was short of breath. So he stopped crying because B. Wordsworth asked him to stop crying, and so he stopped crying, but then still he was breathing short. We went for a walk. We walked down St. Clair in Savannah, and we walked to the race course. So these were the places where they walked. B. Wordsworth said, "Now let us lie on the grass and look up at the stars. And I want you to think how far these stars are from us." So then, what did they do? B. Wordsworth asked them to lie on the grass and then look at the stars and imagine and try to think how far these stars are from them. Again, these points again tell us that he was a nature lover. He wanted to be in contact with the objects of nature. Right? Lying on the grass, looking at the stars, all these things actually show your connection to nature and your love for nature. Right? And what is B. Wordsworth doing? What is his impact on the boy? By taking the boy away when he got a beating from his mother, it shows that he is actually helping the boy in escaping from the reality of his mother's abuse. The boy had an abusive mother, right? From what all we have read about the conversation between the boy and the mother, we come to know one particular fact, and that is the mother didn't treat the boy in a very good manner. Yes or no? Right? She was rather very strict mother, right? He was being scolded by her. He got a beating from her quite often, right? For any of, even for the minute mistakes and faults committed by him. And once B. Wordsworth entered his life, what happened? He helped the boy in escaping from the real world. And now what B. Wordsworth was doing, he was taking this boy. See, small children, whether it's boy or girl, they are but the ones who can be very easily manipulated. Right? So what is he doing? He is actually aiding and helping the boy to escape from the reality of his mother's abuse. What was the reality of the boy? Mother here represents the reality, his real life, the problems of his real life. And what has B. Wordsworth done? He has helped and enabled the boy to move away from that reality and took him along with him into his own illusionary world. Is it clear? Right? B. Wordsworth himself was an escapist. How can you say? because he didn't face the reality. And now he is helping the boy to escape from the reality. He's aiding and helping the boy also to do the same. What is the boy's reality? His family is his reality. His mother is his reality. That is his real world. He has to live with them. He has to face the problems. But then what is he doing? The moment he any problem comes about in the relationship of that boy with his mother, the boy escapes and goes to B. Wordsworth. Why? Because he finds solace there. He finds peace there. Okay, so B. Wordsworth, and then they lay on the grass and then started looking at the stars. I did as he told me, and I saw what he meant. And then he saw what he meant. Perhaps all these things were done by the boy for the first time. He has never done these things. So this is another reason why he enjoyed the company of B. Wordsworth, because B. Wordsworth made him do new strange things, right? Which he must have not done right from the beginning. From looking at the bees at the bees on the Guru palm tree. That was again something very new which the boy did. Till this time, every day in the company of B. Wordsworth, he was trying out new things. And small children are very excited about trying out new things, right? Because they belong to a very curious lot. Children are very curious. And then in the company of B. Wordsworth, he got an opportunity to try new things. And this, looking at the stars, lying on the grass and looking at the stars, that was also something new which he tried. So I did as he told me, and I saw what he meant. I felt like nothing. And at the same time, I had never felt so big and great in all my life. See, if you lie on the grass and look at the stars, this is what B. Wordsworth told him to do. Now let us lie on the grass and look up at the sky. And I want you to think how far these stars are from us. If you have ever tried doing it, after some time you will start feeling like nothing. Means you will feel and realize the vastness of this universe, how vast this universe is. And then your own existence will seem like nothing. If you look at the sky at night, at the stars, so many stars in the sky, and who are you in front of them? So that is how the boy felt. I did as he told me, and I saw what he meant. When he started doing it, when he started looking at the star while lying on the grass, he actually understood what was the meaning of the Wordsworth. What he was trying to say. I felt like nothing, right? So the first feeling which came to the boy was that he was nothing, just even smaller than a small speck as far as this whole universe is concerned. And at the same time, I had never felt so big and great in all. So he had both this feeling. First, he felt like nothing, and then he felt really great and really big about himself. A feeling which he has never experienced in the past. I forgot all my anger and all my tears and all the blows. So all the blows which he received from his mother, his tears, his sorrow, his anger, everything disappeared. So that is the beauty of nature. Right? When you come in contact with nature, when you are able to relate with nature, what happens? All your worries, tension, stress, problems, they simply disappear. Nature has a soothing and a calming effect on everyone. When I said I was better, he began telling me the names of the stars. So when the boy told B. Wordsworth that now he is feeling better, now he is fine, then he started telling him about the stars and talking about the constellations. And I particularly remembered the constellation of the Orion, the hunter. though I don't really know why. I can spot Orion even today, but I've forgotten the rest. So when the boy was okay, he started telling about the different constellations. Right? You know what are the constellations? Those who have studied astrology and astronomy or have some idea. There are different constellations. They form certain images. So Orion is the constellation of a hunter. Right? Different zodiac signs are also based on them. So it is the constellation which forms the image of a hunter. So according to the Greek mythology, constellations, they have been given different names. So there are 12 of them. Right? I can spot. So the narrator himself doesn't know that why he remembers only one constellation, and that is the hunter, Orion, the hunter. So I don't really know why. So he doesn't know why he is able to remember this one, though he has forgotten all the rest of the constellations. I can spot Orion even today, but I have forgotten it. So this is one constellation which he can spot in the night sky even today, while he has forgotten the rest of them. The rest of them he doesn't remember. He won't be able to spot it in them in the sky. But this one, that is the Orion or the hunter. Right? The hunter, it forms the zodiac sign Sagittarius. Then a light was flashed in our faces, and we saw a policeman. And while they were just enjoying themselves, relaxing while lying on the grass, what happened? A policeman came. He got up from the grass. The policeman said, "What are you doing here?" The Wordsworth said, "I've been asking myself the same question for 40 years." So the policeman asked him, "What are they doing there?" And the man said that I've been asking myself this question for them. He became very philosophical and he said that I have been repeatedly asking myself this question over and over again in the past 40 years, that what am I doing here? What am I doing on this earth? They became friends. So this is how they developed a strong bond. That is the boy, the narrator, and the Wordsworth. The Wordsworth and I. He told me, "You must never tell anybody about me and about the mango tree and the coconut tree and the plum. You must keep that a secret. If you tell anybody, I will know because I am a fool." So the Wordsworth asked the boy to keep his identity a secret. Right? He didn't want that the boy should reveal his identity to anyone. I think we should stop here and we'll continue on the next.